Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the OC Dugout Show. I'm Dan Albano, joined once again by Steve Fryer, and welcome everyone to championship weekend in baseball and softball. Steve, we have 5 baseball teams and 5 softball teams in the finals this weekend. That's a pretty strong showing by Orange County.
Yeah, it is. We're not surprised. I always say that if you look at Orange County athletics, I think the 3 things that we, Orange County, do really well, and whatever you want to put it: aquatics, volleyball, boys and girls volleyball, especially boys volleyball, I think lately, and then baseball. And the Division I baseball championship is the toughest team championship to win in the Southern section, I believe. It's single elimination. You got 7 innings to work with. You got to get 21 outs. Every team's got like 2 guys who got electric arms who can throw. Some have more, but they're all so outstanding teams. And my goodness, just a couple of days ago, you had 2 Mission Viejo kids pitching against each other. Tanner Bybee throwing against Mission Viejo against Patrick Sandoval, the Angels. Stuff like that happens. And, that would be like, the lead story on the 7:00 news. Some places here, it's like, oh, yeah, we had that happen, So it's just crazy how good everything is around here.
All right. Now, and I agree with you, and the key number this weekend is also 5 when it comes to the Division I baseball championship game between JSerra and Santa Margarita, because they're going to play for the 5th time, and the season series is tied 2-2. So this is pretty amazing matchup. 2 Trinity League teams. You got the number 1 seeded Santa Margarita Eagles against the defending champion JSerra Lions. Something's got to give. Right. What do you think about this Division I matchup?
Boy, it's so great. We know the Trinity League is really good. I think the Trinity League is 12-2 in these playoffs, including Margarita and JSerra getting this championship game. JSerra was the Division I champion last year. Orange and Santa Margarita, and they were the favorites coming in because they had 18, 19, whatever Division I commits and signees. Yeah. So, but they had a little rough start, which they've had in the past, and then got it together, started playing their best baseball late in the season, and especially during the playoffs. Margarita went 14-1 in the Trinity League, and that is like nuts because I think the last couple of years, like 9-6 won it, maybe 10-5 won it. 14-1 is great. Their only loss was to JSerra. So Santa Margarita beat JSerra 2 out of 3 times in league. And then they met again in the National High School Invitation out in North Carolina, and that was another one. That was a win for JSerra 4-1. So Santa Margarita's got a they're 2-2 against each other. Margarita just beat Orange Lutheran the other day. They looked really good. They're playing their best baseball right now too, just like JSerra is. I don't know what's going to happen. Colin Clark is going to be the starting pitcher for Santa Margarita. Right-hander, really throws well. Throws strikes just like Sammy Kova did the other day. And Ben Reimer is another strikes throwing guy. Is going to be the starting pitcher for JSerra. He's 6-3. Clark is 9-1. Going to be a great game. Great players all over the field. Luke Lavin, the catcher for Margarita, has been outstanding. Has the best walk-up music in Orange County with the theme from Rocky. I love that. I always film it and try and make sure I put on Twitter and Instagram and stuff. That is really cool. Blake Wilson, really good football player, right? Washington guy. Yeah. He's really good. Man, there's just been so many good players all over the place in those games. And then JSerra's got Trent Caraway, candidate for player of the year, batting 400, whatever. Broke Royce Lewis's single season hits record. Now, Royce Lewis, not knocking on the door, getting back in the majors after some injury action. Royce Lewis was the number 1 overall pick in the Major League Baseball draft a few years back. So that's a great looking game. Veteran coaches, Chris Malick, Brett Kay, etc. Blair Field, Friday, 7:30. GoFan.co has the tickets. We have a preview that has links to getting tickets. $5 and $12 are the ticket prices at Blair Field, which holds about 3,200 people. It's going to be a fun Friday night, 7:30 game.
I got to see JSerra in the semis yesterday, or we're on Tuesday at Corona. And I like their contrast of power and some small ball. They got some guys that can, get extra base hits. They can leave the park. Guys like Dominic, their first baseman. You mentioned Caraway.
Yeah.
They got a lot of hitters, but they play some small ball, especially at the bottom of the lineup. Turn it over. But what's the style matchup? Does Santa Margarita have any of that small ball that JSerra has?
Both these teams are fundamentally sound. They're gonna play mistake-free baseball. It depends on the situation. I saw Margaret try and drop down a couple of bunts yesterday to move guys along, so they'll do that. If you're playing fundamental baseball, and which both these teams do, they're going to play some station to station, but they also guys that can knock it out of the park. You mentioned the first baseman, big Dominic Smaldino over at JSerra. I saw Luke Feigelstad, the shortstop at Santa Margarita, launch one yesterday. So yeah, there's power hitters, but these guys, they're well-versed baseball players.
Yeah, and I know it's not exactly easy to hit home runs at Blair Field, especially at night, near the coast where the air gets pretty thick, and there's going to be lots of good pitching. So we'll see what the coaches come up with. So Steve, what else, as far as the other games that you are going to be covering, there's another great on Saturday, another OC matchup. You got Canyon against Crean Lutheran in Division 4. That's the 10 a.m. game, which is interesting. Who would have thought? These are looks like two potential future Century Conference teams after the recent releaguing. Canyon, Crean Lutheran. I guess maybe those athletic directors really know what they're doing as far as baseball. Here they are playing in the Division 4 finals. What do you think about this game?
Outstanding. And here's what's interesting. Canyon finished 4th place in a 4-team league. And then, got in the playoffs as an at-large team. There's room in the bracket for them. Crean Lutheran was 3rd place in a really good league, the Empire League.
Yeah.
With Pacific and Cypress on top. You play your best baseball, at the best time to do so. Crean Lutheran, Jay Caney's been the only coach there, and they're 15 years. He's been around some. And, man, he's got some dudes over there. Let me tell you, there's a guy who hits the heck out of it named Jack O'Malley. And he's batting .418. He's got 8 home runs, 25 RBIs coming into the week. Fantastic. And then some guys, you need role players. So Blake Needham, he goes 2 for 3 and knocks in 3 yesterday in the semifinal win for them. And then Canyon, man, Austin Duarte's driven in 24 runs. Christian Tapia, batting .410. Bryson Brunswick's really, really good for them. Jason Smith, really cool coach over there at Canyon. So great stuff over there. That's the 10 a.m. game Saturday at Blair Field.
Yeah. All right. And then we also have one other game, and that's going to be the 4 o'clock game on Saturday. Elisa Nagel, speaking of some major league bloodlines there from the Wolverines program, Skip Schumacher, manager of Miami in the big leagues. But Aliso's taking on San Marcos. So, from the Santa Barbara area, they'll be coming down for that 4 o'clock game. What do you think about this matchup?
Man, Aliso, I don't know who's got a longer winning streak in the southern section. Aliso, what is it, 9 games now or something? They started out like 0-5, and then they were 2-9 or something like that. Then they got really hot, went up and took the Seaview League. And in the playoffs, just kept the streak going. A couple good hitters in that team. Brandon Tatch is doing really well. Here's a familiar name for people at Aliso baseball: Jarrett Sable. He's a sophomore. He's got 24 hits, a couple home runs. Craig Hansen, coach over there. They won a championship a few years back, and he's got them back in the final. That if you're looking at teams back in March or whatever. You don't have Alicia Nagel going to a championship game. You really don't. So that's been pretty good to see. So all these games are at Blair Field, which is a beautiful facility. I love the fact they have all these games there. And again, that's the 4 o'clock game is Aliso against San Marcos. 10 a.m. gets us started on Saturday. Crean Lutheran against Canyon, and then the nightcap on Friday is JSerra against Santa Margarita. Round 5. Of Eagles versus Lions. And all those tickets, go to gofan.co and hope to see you at the ballpark. So
Yes, you can
Dan,
follow Steve Fryer at
yeah,
Steve Fryer.
I'll
He'll
help
be
you out.
there, I'm sure, all weekend covering these three OC games.
Now, softball has also got championship games going Friday and Saturday. I know we got a usual slew of Orange County teams there. Um, I don't know where you want to start talking about this, but let's take a look at the Division 5 game, Dan, which is Friday. That's Liberty against Irvine. Give us the lowdown.
Yeah, this is an interesting matchup. Vaqueros in the finals for the first time since 1993,
Right.
and they were the second place team out of the Pacific Coast League, and they're the number one seed in Division 5. So they're playing obviously very close to home, a stadium there at Dina Manning Stadium that they should have a good turnout right down the street. They have the shortest commute, so that should definitely make them feel quite comfortable. And they're taking on interesting team in Liberty, which is out in Winchester, which is in the Inland Empire, out in the Temecula area, and that's a second year school. And they don't have any seniors, so they're going to be an up and coming program. So it's going to be kind of a new kid on the block against an Irvine team that's got one of its better teams in many years. So that's going to be an exciting way to start out for OC in Division 5. We'll see if how the locals do, in that game.
That's the 3:30 game over there in Irvine at Deanna Manning Stadium at Colonel Bill Barber Marine Corps Memorial Park. And then Pacifica. Well, we have seen that name in softball finals quite a few times over quite a few years. So Pacifica is playing a dynamite team, Norco, 6:30 Friday night, Division 1 final.
Yeah. Pacifica Mariners, they're the most storied program in Orange County softball history. They have the most championships at 7. And but here they are taking on the number one seed in Norco. So these teams haven't played this year. So I think Pacifica, they're going to have that underdog mentality. They were number one in Orange County to open the season, kind of stumbled a little bit early, a couple losses to Esperanza non-league, and they got second in the Good Empire League, but they've really surged here late in the season, and they pulled off some big upsets in the playoffs, including beating Los Alamitos, number one in Orange County, got them in the quarterfinals, and then they beat Oaks Christian, a really good hitting team, in the semifinals. So the key in this one, Steve, is going to be, Bryn Nally is pitching really well in the circle, junior, committed to Long Beach State, and then that lineup, the Mariners lineup is pretty deep. Gotten some new contributors toward the bottom lineup. They got some pretty big hitters in the middle as well. They've been getting some clutch hits. Obviously, with Kaylee Counts, center fielder, has been very clutch lately. The key for the Mariners in this game will be defensively. They have some really capable defenders, but they're going to have to play a very sharp game and to hang with Norco. So that's going to be big. And then, of course, always the circle is going to be big. But Bryn Nally is pitching really well. She keeps the ball down low. This should be a very competitive game because, nobody's hotter right now than Pacifica.
On Saturday, 12:30 p.m. over there, Deanna Manning Stadium at Bill Barber Park in Irvine. All county matchup here. Yeah. Foothill against Fullerton. What do you got, Dan? 12:30 Saturday.
Yeah, this Division 4 game is great for Orange County softball. I mean, you got Fullerton, which is up and coming, young team led by their freshman pitcher Malaya, who's made a big impact in her first season. She's been lights out in the playoffs. She's just last week she had 3 complete games. The most hits she allowed in any of those 3 games, Steve, was 2 hits. She had a couple 1-hitters in there and a 2-hitter. So she's been clutch, and she's facing a good junior pitcher as well from Foothill, which is Lauren Mendez, who is a 22-game winner, got all the wins for the Knights. And Foothill's in the finals. They've got some good tradition as well. But they're in the finals for the first time since 2003. So it's nice to see the Knights, kind of getting back in county prominence. Both these teams are in the county top 25 this week. So this should be a really good game. Fullerton has played a very tough schedule because, they were in that, those crossover games with they come out of the North Hills League. They're the co-champion of the North Hills League, but they played up against those Crestview League teams. So I think their schedule is a little bit tougher, but than the Indians. But Fulton's playing really well, and they have to play just defense well behind Malaya, who's a very experienced pitcher out of the Corona Angels travel program. So she's really familiar with these high stakes games.
I think the real Angels might be able to use her right now.
There you go.
Coming out of the pen, help us out, kid. Okay, Division III championship game, also at Deanna Manning Stadium in Irvine at Bill Barber Memorial Park, 3:30 p.m. Division III. We got our local kids, Capistrano Valley, going against the Sharks of Santiago out in Corona. Tell us about this one, Dan.
Yeah, another Orange County versus IE matchup. That's kind of the theme here for, this is the third one like that for Orange County this weekend. Capo's a great story, Steve. They're in the finals for the first time since 1979. So they're making the most history this year, obviously. Yeah. And it's their first year under Coach Mel Roth, which is, she's really done a great job in gelling with some talented Cougars that have really taken the next step. They were a 1-and-out last year, lost 1-0 to Sunny Hills, and here they are. What a run they have made, to make history, Steve. Last week, they beat Cypress, who was top 10 in Orange County. They also beat Kennedy, which was also ranked higher than them in Orange County. Got a really good junior pitcher, Maddie McDonald, who's a really good hitter as well. So she's going to be key. Santiago, the word is they got some hitters, so this should be an interesting game. But it's been a great run for Capo Valley. They've been knocking on the door last 2 seasons, including this year. And last year they beat Mission Viejo non-league. I just got to think they've been. They saw what the Diablos did last year, winning Division 2. I just feel like that crosstown team, Capo Valley, they really want to get CIF. They've gelled well with their new coach, so I expect them to play well and really compete. That should be a really great D3 final.
All right, so that's what's going on in softball. 4 games involving Orange County teams in softball. We've got our pretty good matchups over here. We got 3 games with Orange County teams in them. Elisa Niguel in baseball on Saturday afternoon against San Marcos. And starts the morning off on Saturday with Canyon against Korean Lutheran. And then on Friday night, the big enchilada on the plate, Santa Margarita versus J. Sarah for the 5th time. Crazy, but there it is. So that's what's going on this week. Dan and I are going to be super busy. Looking forward to seeing all these great games, great athletes. Blair Field is a great place to see baseball. Deanna Manning Stadium, fantastic place to see softball. We'd love to see you folks out there. Thanks for watching us again and joining us. And Dan and I are ready to go.